What's good, everybody? Surreal AG here, back at you again on the Lockdown Defense Sports Network, y'all. And everyone out there, I present to you with a humbled heart. Yes, I watched the Super Bowl. Yes, I am fully aware of the outcome and what happened to my Kansas City Chiefs. And if you are wondering, yes, it was very, very hard to watch. So I'm sure you were expecting some kind of recap video from me on that game and just the ass beating that occurred. But hey, I'm still in mourning about it, guys. So we're going to put Super Bowl 59 behind us. Shout out to the Eagles. Straight domination performance. Eagles offense and defensive line just controlled the line of scrimmage and manhandled the opposing, Chiefs players on both sides of the ball. So hell of a run for the Eagles. They're the champs. But for our Chiefs, you got to be proud of the run that they went on and having a shot at the three-peat. But we got to buckle up for 2025, and we got to see what old Andy Reid and Brett Veach cook up in this offseason lab to retool some missing pieces in this roster. Inject some youth into this team, and ultimately right the ship and get things back on course, much like they did after they lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay when everyone thought the Chiefs were done, right? So, just looking at this offseason, looking ahead, it is going to be a crazy one, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, Chiefs have a lot of big cap hits coming up. Currently, I think 11 million in cap space, and on top of that, 28 pending free agents, some of which include some pretty big contributors during this dynastic run. But ultimately, looking at it, there's really only one pending free agent that, in my opinion, the Kansas City Chiefs can absolutely not let leave the building, and that is right guard Trey Smith. And I'll tell you why. I get it. Hey, offensive line played bad in the Super Bowl, but you got to have stability. And I am of the opinion that if they just had a decent left tackle and could keep the pretty much elite inside unit of Tooney, Humphrey, and Smith, things would have looked a lot better on Sunday. And part of filling that hole and retooling the offensive line is not losing that stability with the unit that's proven to be good. So you cannot let Trey Smith leave. I understand that that's going to mean some other players are probably no longer going to be at the Chiefs, but that is the guy that you got to keep in the young right guard, that you got for a 6th-round pick and has shown he can contribute and be highly effective, almost elite at times in this system. So Trey Smith ultimately got to stay in Kansas City. You need that stability. So with that, we got our free agent locked in. Now we got to look at the draft, trade acquisitions, and other free agent signings from other teams. And, there's definitely some holes to fill and some things that were exposed in the Super Bowl and maybe, throughout the whole season, but definitely more apparent in the Super Bowl. So, what are the 5 positions of need most, for this Kansas City Chiefs team going into 2025 in the future? Well, number one, I don't think this will come as a surprise to anyone, but it is absolutely left tackle. I just talked about stability and retooling this line. Again, if they just had a competent left tackle, I truly believe things would have been different. They tried DJ Humphries signing off the street after tearing his ACL. That didn't work out. Suma Matea and Wanye Morris did not really seem to step up into the role of the left tackle like they hoped. So that's got to be priority one this offseason, whether that is being aggressive in the draft to move up or, signing another aging left tackle piece in the free agency pool like Ronnie Stanley or Tyron Smith. They got to bring a little more competency and stability to the left tackle position, which was basically a total liability for this Chiefs team in 2024. Second most important position, and this is honestly kind of a hybrid. Mainly, it's just because it's alarming how many freaking free agents are coming out in this position group. But D tackle and just edge rusher. Really just their D line as a whole. Looking at the interior of it, the only D tackle that is on roster for 2025 is Chris Jones. That's kind of bad. And then on top of that, with the edge rushers, you got Amenahue, you got Uche, and Tharshawn Wharton, who, I mean, he was one of the bright stars of the Super Bowl, all entering, free agency in 2025. So that's certainly going to be a position to target, in free agency as well as the draft, and one I think that could arguably be 1B to left tackle in terms of its importance. So it'll be interesting to watch what they do with that. Third on this list is ultimately linebacker, and that is going to depend a lot on what they do with the pending free agent. I've, certainly mentioned some other big names, but another big name, unfortunately, for these pending chief free agents is linebacker Nick Bolton. And, I just talked about having to re-sign Trey Smith or prioritizing re-signing Trey Smith. And ultimately, I think that means, a player like Nick Bolton is probably leaving, and there's already been reports themselves from the Chiefs saying, they would likely prioritize other players over giving Bolton a bag, and it is a business, and they got to do what they got to do. But if he does move on, that's a big green dot voided hole in this defense that is going to have to be replaced somehow in some way. So we'll see. And then, fourth on this list, and this one is certainly not as big of a priority as those staple positions because they do have some stability, but it's got to be running back. I mean, you looked at terrible time running the ball in the Super Bowl. They need to have some more stability in that room. You got Samaje Perine and Kareem Hunt, both pending free agents. On top of that, Pacheco's entering the last year of his contract. So they got to inject some youth, and this is a big draft filled with running backs to do that. So that's something I expect them to target as well this offseason. And then to round things out on the offensive side of the ball, my fifth most important position of need is ultimately going to be wide receiver. Now, they've obviously spent some early draft capital the past couple years on wide receivers with Worthy and Rice, and Rice was pretty effective his rookie year. Unfortunately, got hurt this year. Worthy most definitely proved his worth this year, and I think it's only going to grow from there. But they're going to have a supporting cast around those guys, and just looking at who that might be, there's really no other wide receivers that are going to be on the roster right now for 2025. You got D Hop, Hollywood Brown, Justin Watson, Juju Smith Schuster, and McCole Hardman, all pending free agents. So they're definitely going to have to add some pieces, maybe bring some of those guys back on team friendly deals. But I do expect to see a changing of the guard, if you will, in the wide receiver room, and some of these familiar faces to not be coming back. But either way, like I said, we got to put Super Bowl 2024 and Super Bowl 59 behind us. We're on to 2025. I'm excited to see what Kansas City does to continue this successful run they've been on, and it's going to be a wild ride. Be sure, if you like the video, to hit that little like button below. Maybe subscribe to the channel so you get some more high flying news, NFL action. And if you like what I said, or want to disagree with something I said, or just go back and forth talking about the Chiefs or maybe the Super Bowl, be sure to comment below. Thanks.